Comments. All right. Some of these are directed at you and Daigle because I was ill. So,
You say I have no part in this.
I had no part in this. John, U6S7 says, I hope the mantra, if you're good enough, you're old enough, is applied to Luca Williams Barnett. Even though 17 years old, I'd like to think we don't send him on loan, but keep him in the first team squad and give him minutes during the season. I know loan experience can be important to young players, but in this case, I think we'll be better served gaining that experience within the first team with minutes and training.
Yeah, I completely agree. And
But
also,
you said, yeah, you can't loan him. You said, yeah.
no, we can't loan him, so we have to keep him around. But I guess instead of loan being an option, putting him in the under-21s being the option. So I would keep him around the first team. I really would. And I think as well, if you keep him around the first team, there's been this concern about pathways to the first team from the academy, and it will make younger players more open to joining us as well, or the academy players not looking to leave, as we've seen over the past few weeks. So I would keep him part of the first team, and I would look to give him minutes because I think he's that good.
100%. This guy seems to have absolute star quality. I think everyone's very rightly excited about him. He's a Spurs boy. I think everyone's bringing up that video of him as was like a 10-year-old or wherever he is, or 12-year-old, with him and Lucas Moura in the car and talking about scoring his Ajax. And he seems to have Spurs in his heart. I'm just imagining a day in maybe 5 years' time, maybe less, where we have a starting lineup of Williams Barnett in the 10, Mikey Moore off the left, Junai Byfeld at centre back with Malachi Hardy. I mean,
Olasesi in midfield.
Olasesi in midfield, eh? One day, I think. One day we can dream.
Exactly.
Kane 82 says Solanke looks so laid back, like he's in chill mode 24/7. He doesn't seem or look hungry, like he has nothing to prove. Yeah, he came in for a lot of criticism after his performance against the Dons. Do you think he doesn't feel the pressure for his place?
I'm not sure about not feeling the pressure. I just don't know how into it he is. Like, if it's true that he was willing to go to Saudi at the end of the season, and there was actually
Solanke was.
Yeah, Solanke.
He was willing to go to Saudi.
Apparently, he had a deal wrapped up to go to Saudi at the end of the season, if we were getting relegated.
Oh, I have heard some things about him through the grapevine, like he actually doesn't care that much about Spurs.
Yeah, I've heard those things too, and I've heard that he was, had a deal agreed to go to Saudi if we were getting relegated. I don't know, man. I'm not convinced on Solanke. I haven't been for a while. So, but look, in terms of the performance in the number 9, both of them were pretty stinky, to be honest.
At least Rishi was trying to score.
Yeah, just failing.
Yeah,
I think Solanke tried to score as well and fluffed his lines a couple of times. So I think both of them put in really bad performances.
TCR says this deluded fan base widely believes we weren't a bottom table club despite back-to-back 17th place finishes. The injury situation was undoubtedly crucial to that, but modern day football is a squad game, and we built a squad that doesn't compete in the face of injuries. I say that to say this: we are a mid-table team. If we don't put goals in the team, I love the new additions, but when people talked about the progressive passing of Van Heck and Senesi, my first thought was wait until they're kicking those balls off to Richarlison. No winger is going to turn Solanke into a clinical one-touch assassin, especially not the ones we currently have. The Zerbi ball can't compensate for this front line, and Rishi is never leaving.
I think it talks about the service that they're getting. Solanke and Richarlison are getting. You need proper wingers there as well. And, Kudus is one, but we don't have a proper one on the left-hand side. So I think they can get more goals than they potentially got. Maybe not Richarlison. I think maybe 15 at most. But even 15 is a good goal return, to be fair, in the Premier League. So I think they can get goals, but I just don't think they're what we want or what we need. I think, look, Solanke has shown that in that one season for Bournemouth that he got 19 goals or whatever it was in the Premier League. But at the moment, that's just kind of like a one-off season. Richarlison has never been the kind of that clinical in front of goal. So you're going to have to create a lot more chances for those strikers than you do for maybe another striker, a clinical one that we bring in.
I think comfortably they could both get 10 goals. But if we're looking for, I think Solanke, his problem is he's just not a great finisher. Like he isn't, his shooting technique isn't fantastic. So you have to create a lot for him. He doesn't create his own goal scoring opportunities. He's just not great at the angles. He can be good if he's right in front of the goal in the centre. But other than that, he's not really, you don't expect him to score many goals. And then Rishi, as I've said, I just think physically he's declined. I think he's a better finisher than Solanke, but even then he's like a 1 in 3 kind of finisher. And his overall game is absolutely lacking. And I think physically he has definitely declined quite rapidly over these last few years. So if that's going to continue, that's a problem. So I think you could get away with having one of them as backup to a different striker, but having both of them together. Look, I've before last season even, I didn't mind the idea of both of them together and battling out with each other, but it hasn't really come to pass. But here's the truth: we've never really had them both fit at the same time ever.
That's the biggest issue.
Yeah, if we have them both fit, it might be okay, but we just never have.
They're not reliable enough. That's the reality. Neither of them.
But maybe with these new medical departments, we can keep them fit. Rishi's obviously been so injury prone, and I don't know what's happened with Solanke. For one reason, he keeps kicking the ground and doing his ankle.
Yeah.
He's being an idiot. But when he was before he came to Spurs, he was known as this player who plays every game. It's crazy.
In an ideal world, I would sell both of them. I really would.
I think selling both of them this summer would be a bit too much. I'd give us too much to do.
If it's possible to bring in 2 strikers, I would do it. Look, I agree it probably is too much to do, but that's what I would do.
But you know what? I wouldn't be against selling both and getting Krupi in. Why not go for Ollie Watkins? I don't see a problem with that.
Are Villa going to let another one go? They've let the whole team go at this point.
Well, apparently they're open. I don't know, reports suggesting like they might let him go. Like they offered him to Arsenal a few years ago for like 60, but he's 20. Was he 29 now?
I think he's 30 now.
He's 30. Like if we bid like 35, 40 million, would they say yes?
I mean, I wouldn't be against it. I'd even bring in a croupier alongside like a Brian Brobby or something. There are other strikers out there that you can get to play that kind of role in the team.
Brobby, yeah, could get Brobby. I'm not crazy over Brobby, but I think he's all right.
But I think, Brobby, if you could have him alongside a Krupi, just cause carnage when he came on. I think he'd be a decent option for us. The thing is with Brobby, right? He's not exactly the best player in the world or anywhere close to it, but you hate playing against him. Everyone hates playing against him, and you love to have those players on your team.
When Solanke first joined, he was that kind of player as well, but that's kind of gone out of his game.
Yeah.
It was like this incredible presser who was just relentless and was giving defenders so much trouble, but that seems to not be the case as much over the last
And as
year.
someone said in the comments, another player that I would consider is even Tony.
Tony, yeah, I think it's too. If he's on all these wages at Saudi and all this stuff, it's going to be too difficult.
Yeah, obviously there's that. I mean, I don't even know how much he's on, but he must be on a fair packet.
I'd rather go Watkins. Go
I'll
try and
take
get Watkins
Watkins.
from Villa. Why
100% I'll
not?
take Watkins.
What about a cheap deal for Chris Wood?
No, I'm not taking Chris Wood.
Why? He's been class over the last 2 years.
He barely kicked the ball last season. He was injured the whole year.
But when he was fit, he was good.
There's no chance. You can't take a 35-year-old that's been injured for a whole season.
He was quite good, I thought, in the World Cup as well when he played.
Forget Chris Wood, mate. Come on. Not going for Chris Wood.
I kind of like Chris Wood. Underrated.
He's not, mate.
Uh,
He's not.
get him on a 2-year deal.
2 years. He's 35.
So what?
What are you on about? Chris
2 years
Wood.
is short.
Huh?
2 years is short.
No, mate. Come on. We're talking about Spurs with this newfound wealth and we get Chris Wood. Come on.
All right, I'll stick to Watkins.
Jesus Christ.
I don't think he's a bad player.
Chris Wood is not the caliber that we need at this football club. You're talking about going for Ollie Watkins and you say, yo, what about Chris Wood? Come on, man.
Well, last year, not okay. Last year was injured, but the year before that, he was one of the top scorers in the league.
Yeah, and we all said it's a one-off season.
No, but even the year before that, he was scoring goals.
Nah, come
It
on.
wasn't a
I'm
one-off.
not having Chris Wood. If anyone, Garassi, 100%. Isaac Joseph, Garassi. He's the man that we should be getting.
Yeah, it's gone very quiet, that one. BS Arkley says, aren't you both doing exactly what you did with Frank, though? Eating up everything he is saying. I'm not making that mistake again. I am just going to wait and see pretty much most of next season. This is in response to your video about Zerbi's interview.
Yep. I mean, look,
Shameless.
you can't talk about Thomas Frank and Roberto De Zerbi in the same breath. Like, I obviously made those mistakes with Thomas Frank last summer, and I will be making the same mistakes again with Roberto De Zerbi because he's a different kettle of fish.
What were you just eat up everything he's got to say?
De Zerbi, 100%. De Zerbi is my master.
He wasn't saying we're going to lose games, though, for sure.
That's the thing. That's what we were saying in that video. A year difference. One was saying we're 100% going to lose games. The other one said Spurs should be fighting at the top of the league.
You eating up when Frank was saying it?
Yeah, I said he was just joking.
He was not joking. He's being 100% serious. AP86187 says, I'm no fan of Frank, but to his defense, if he was told and backed by the board like De Zerbi is getting, maybe he wouldn't be saying what he said. He's just being real, but I get it. It's a negative mindset. But my point is, if the board had said to Frank, look, we're going to give you 100 million to spend on a single player you feel is right for your vision, also another 85 million and another 50 odd million for another, we're still going to carry on backing you with more. Maybe Frank's mindset wouldn't have been that we're definitely going to lose games, and maybe he might feel confident of pushing at the top of the league with that kind of backing. My point is, it's not fair to judge these two men on what they've said when they are playing on two different playing fields. Like I said, I'm definitely not a fan of Frank, but I'm also fair and not biased.
I think that is just Frank's mentality, unfortunately. I didn't think it at the start, but it came very evident as the season progressed, the mentality that he has, not just in the words that he was saying, but in the football that he was playing and the cowardice that he was showing when setting up our teams. So I don't buy that at all. I just think Frank's mentality is a mid-table, bottom of the half manager's mentality. That's just what he is.
Yeah, when he spoke about, he had this quote, didn't he, about how many good games you play in a season. He's like, you play, 5 perfect games and then 20 okay games and 10 bad games. I can't remember exactly what the breakdown was, but I was like, what is he talking about when I was listening to this? I was like, yeah, maybe if you're Brentford, that's okay, but this is Tottenham. You can't just have 5 good games. Like,
Yeah.
what are you
And if
talking
anyone
about?
would say that to him, people would be, yes, but, this is the same team that finished 17th last season.
Yeah, everything. And I think as well, his mentality is, oh, new project. It's going to be some learning curves. I don't think he was like, oh, we're going to lose games, because like we're just so bad. It's more like, oh, it's a project and there's going to be learning curves. And so there'll be lost games in the meantime. But like, it's just the way he went about explaining that to the fans was just so strange and odd. And I think he was just nowhere near had the right mentality or was the right fit for a club like Tottenham. It was just
No,
so wrong.
no,
It was just so wrong.
no.
Um, Michael Knight says none of our previous managers had a plan. He does. He knows this is his big chance at a massive club who could go on to do big things. Embrace him, his vision, and it will happen.
None of
So
our, none of our,
no, none of our previous managers has a plan, and he's talking about De Zerbi. He says De Zerbi does.
yeah,
He knows his big chance at a massive club, who could go on to do big things. Embrace him, and embrace his vision, and it will happen.
100%. To be fair, I do think Ange did have a plan. Obviously, he had a distinct style of play. Look, I think all the managers, maybe apart from Thomas Frank, had a. I mean, I think even Thomas Frank had a plan. It was just a very bad plan. So I don't agree. I think these managers did have a plan, but also the club didn't facilitate the plans well enough at all. Whereas the club is facilitating the plan under Roberto De Zerbi very well.
Yeah, I agree. I think De Zerbi, as I've said before, when I remember when we first brought up his name, I was saying this guy is one of the more revolutionary coaches of the modern generation. So he's been at the forefront of football in this current time. So when he has a plan, you can trust that it's going to be a plan that's worthy of this kind of timing in football, rather than maybe the coach. It always feels like the other coaches, we've kind of got them too late, or it's not been the right timing, or we're getting them when they're a few years behind. But with De Zerbi, it feels different. It's like the right time, right place, right time now with
Yeah.
him.
And it's the biggest job that he's had as well. He's never had kind of funds or resources like this in his
Mm.
career. So it's going to be a joy to behold this season.
The Adventures of Don says, wasn't Savinho like 60 to 70 million last season when we tried to sign him? How does his price go up with even less time on the pitch than before and fewer years on his contract? That makes no sense whatsoever. If they want 80 million, we need to walk.
Have we said
Yeah,
80 million?
apparently there's rumours of them upping their price to 80 million. That's why there's
80
been
million, 80 million is nuts for Savinho. But I guess that the market is in a different place than it was a year ago. The market is much more inflated this season. So that's the only kind of reasoning I can see behind it.
yeah, that they've raised the price. I mean, 80 million, way too much. But then again, if you had 80 million to spend, who would you spend it on? On the wing?
Yeah. Yeah, that's also a good
No.
point. That's also a good point. There's surely players out there that would be
Minte?
willing to part for who? Minte? Don't know. I like Minte. And Die, people are saying in the comments.
And die.
Savio won't go for 80 million. I think it's agreed in the background. They're just waiting for someone, for Man City to bring someone in.
Yeah, I think I'm hoping that's the thing anyway, because if it's not, then it's a bit of a worry. Mr. B Seeks, look at me, he says it makes so much sense to move Bentancur and Pape Matar on so that Bergval can stay as Bergvall will be homegrown after this season. That's such a huge deal having a homegrown player as part of the first team. Our academy to first team conversion has left a lot to be desired lately. Obviously, that's another good point. But if we can keep Bergvall, that's a club trained player we have as well.
It's a massive plus having that. We went through it last week in terms of what our squad's going to look like next season with the numbers, with hopefully going back into European football. Having him and Archie Gray a part of that, both homegrown players, both club trained players, be absolutely massive for us. So that's why I keep saying we need to prioritise Bergvall over a Bentancur, 100%.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, and I think, look, I think Bentancur is not the future of Tottenham. As much as I like him, I do like him, and I think he's a good player. Bergvall is the future, and I'd rather keep him. So if we're selling Bergvall and keeping Bentancur, I think that's just like at the end of the day, we're probably going to sell Bentancur in a year's time, even if he stays. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So what's the point of selling Bergvall for 1 year of Bentancur? You know what I mean? That's just
Exactly, and his stock will be even lower, Bentancur. So that's what they said. You know, you need to know the right time to sell players, and I just feel like it's the right time now with Bentancur.
Oh, that's it.
Big up to all of you guys once again for staying so active in the comment section. There's a couple more super chats before we